Hello, and welcome to my presentation on what you need to know about myofunctional therapy. This is relevant for children who are reaching preschool age, and I'm going to share everything that I believe is relevant for parents to know. So, first of all, I am Tiffany Lidwicki. I am, first of all, a mom, a wife, friend, myofunctional therapist, dental hygienist, and a health coach. Overall, my mission is to help you stop snoring, to increase energy, to reduce pain and anxiety in order to sleep better. Because everyone deserves to live their healthiest and happiest life. And as a parent, I know that sleep is sometimes the last thing on our list of priorities. So, first thing is generally our kids. And myofunctional therapy helps our children in a way that helps them breathe better and sleep better. And this improves their learning capacity, allows them to grow optimally because every child deserves the same shot at success. So, what is myofunctional therapy? My goal as a myofunctional therapist is to restore the normal function of the muscles of your face, head, neck, and tongue, because otherwise those muscles may be working against you. Myofunctional therapy can address the underlying issues that are causing other issues that you may not associate with being a mouth problem. So the main four goals are to teach nasal breathing. We want to be able to maintain a lip seal. We want to have correct tongue rest posture, which is tongue up, and to have the correct swallow. We want to do this day and night. The reason it's so important is because we cannot live without breath or digestion. They should be the first place that we begin with health, and yet they're usually not even considered. They're not even um, they're not even considered as part of the issue when it comes to certain diagnoses and challenges, let alone something that we do for prevention. So, I want you to pay attention if you have or your child has any of the following symptoms: snoring or mouth breathing. Children should never snore. They're slowly being suffocated. That means that you're reducing the oxygen to their brain. That results in all just behavioral issues, possible ADHD diagnoses, poor stunting of growth, many issues by not having oxygenation to the cells. However, some other signs and symptoms that might come up are aversion to food, babies with reflux, when a child has crowded teeth, or as a baby, when the teeth all touch each other, right? Baby teeth should have little spaces between them. If your child thumb sucks or prolonged pacifier use, this may be a sign that the baby is self-soothing, where the tongue should be doing that instead. If your baby had difficulty breastfeeding, if they had tongue or lip ties, diagnosed or not, if there's behavioral or speech issues, and prolonged bedwetting and night terrors. Over time, this could end up resulting in mild to moderate sleep apnea. As an adult, you might not want to be compliant with the CPAP. You may snore, have insomnia, or wake up multiple times to pee. You also then have body issues. They could be jaw pain from clenching and grinding the teeth. You could have crowded teeth and even teeth that relapse after ortho. You could have chronic pain throughout the whole body. The tongue and the toes are actually connected by one piece of fascia. So restrictions can happen anywhere along that chain, and a tongue issue could be causing even plantar fasciitis. You could have earaches and ringing in the ears, some vertigo, and dry mouth. All of these can contribute to chronic disorders like diabetes, acid reflux, chronic disease like Alzheimer's and cardiovascular problems. You could have gum disease, more cavities, and mental illness. And just because it's common, right? Let's say snoring, that's the most simple, or mouth breathing. Just because it's common doesn't mean that it's normal. Doesn't mean that it's okay. So the dysfunctions that a myofunctional therapist would address, if you're showing those signs and symptoms that I just discussed, is to get down to the root cause by resolving mouth breathing, by resolving your lips being apart, the tongue living down on the floor of our mouth or between the teeth. And when you talk or swallow, the seeing the tongue frequently. These are disorders and they should be addressed in order to prevent those future issues that I mentioned. So, um, what can we do? And what really does cause these problems? Well, we work on tongue posture. So many people have the tip of their tongue that touch the large circle behind the top front teeth. However, we should still have contact with the tongue in the middle and the back of the roof of our mouth. Your tongue should create a seal, the seal on the top of the mouth, which then allows air from the nose to go all the way down and reach our lungs. We get the most efficient use of oxygen that way. By not having that tongue posture, you're not allowing the proper growth and development of the upper jaw, which the lower jaw follows. So, normal nasal breathing, you would have a more symmetrical face, whereas mouth breathing, it puts extra forces on our cheeks, narrowing our face and creating the crooked nose, tired eyes, the long, narrow face, and sinus issues. Here's the female version as well. The same idea. The tongue provides support for even our spine, our body's full alignment. So I had mentioned the different aspects that you could be symptoms and signs, I should say, like history of speech issues or different habits, orthodontics, the crowding of teeth, digestion problems, sleep problems. That's part of the history, which would indicate a need for making some type of intervention. But then it goes further into looking at what is your airway space? When it comes to your tonsils, how much room do your tonsils take up in your airway? What is the shape of your palate? So this is a palate of somebody who had low tongue posture because the face pushes in, it pushes in, creating that narrow arch, not room for the teeth to come in straight and not room for the proper development of sinuses, right? If you think about the floor of the floor of the nose is the roof of our mouth, right? So this is the roof of our mouth. That's the floor of our nose. So if you have a high, narrow one, you are likely dealing with sinus issues, a deviated septum um, as a result. And then the next thing, again, the airway is now seeing what your airway looks like when you're not saying ah. Okay, that lets us know how large your airway space is. We then look at your mouth posture. How much is it open? Do you have strain when you try to close your lips, like strain in the chin? We look at your tongue. Where is this little frenum, the little band under your tongue, attached? Is it attached middle of the tongue, kind of close to the tip of the tongue? Is it creating a little heart-shaped divot because it's actually restricted, or is it completely tied down? Here's what it looks like in different angles. When we see this Eiffel Tower looking appearance, that indicates there could be a tongue tie down to the floor of our mouth, not necessarily a tongue tie to the tip. They're different things and they can cause different symptoms. This is what some might look like. So here's the Eiffel Tower look with still even a slight tip of the tongue tie. Here we got the divot in the tongue and we got some floor of the mouth attachments, right? So where this one would be normal, great range of motion, and we're able to lift the tongue to the roof of our mouth. There's also a compensation. So down here we have muscles below our tongue, and sometimes even someone with a tongue tie, they can stick out their tongue. They can almost touch their nose, but it's because other muscles are assisting the tongue's movement. And so some of these are not an issue if the client has no issues. But if there's the dysfunctions that I talked about, the mouth breathing, the snoring, the crowded teeth, then there's dysfunctions that you want to address, whether you even understood that this was an important aspect, right? Braces are great, but I work on the foundation. So I'm going to give you the foundation to build the house. So to build the nice big arch. I don't want to take teeth out just to make room for it because that makes your airways more narrow. Long term, not as great. So there's more assessments that I do with the tongue. There's different positions that I get you to do, this is called a cave to see what your range of motion is. And then I have you move your tongue around different ways. How does your tongue work? Does it scrape across the lower lip or teeth? Do you have free motion back and forth? And then based on the assessments that we go through, then we determine what type of therapy you need. Therapy generally takes daily exercises with biweekly sessions to continue to grow upon the previous week's exercises. So, what it does is it helps to train the muscles of the face and neck to work harmoniously. These are some examples of children. You can see how their face changes, how mouth breathing, how tired they look versus the symmetrical result of having the proper tongue position and lip seal and better sleep. Okay, these are open bites. Sometimes it's from thumb sucking, sometimes it's the tongue that sticks out while we talk and while we eat, okay, or pacifier use. So you can close this up without orthodontics. The extent varies on the severity of the open bite and the age of the child. But if you were to go to orthodontics and get this repaired, you're looking at likely having, well, you should always have retainers for life if you don't affect the muscles, but the relapse, this will happen. And there are some orthodontists that will not even put braces on unless this is addressed. The awareness is still growing. It's not as common as I would like, but it's about empowering the parents to know that this is out there. Do your research, find out what is best for you, for your child, for your family. Now, if you have questions, feel free to send me questions. You can email me here, Tiffany at mindbodymouth.net. You can find me on social medias as Mind Body Mouth Coach, my website, mindbodymouth.net. And I have Sleep Solutions with Tiffany. It's a Facebook group, and it's really intended for helping adults who snore so I can get them into a stop snoring solution program to reduce their risk of chronic disease and improve their relationship because both the snorer and the person sleeping with the snorer will both benefit from treatment. So thank you very much for your time. I hope this was valuable to you and that you can gain some great insight, and happy children going to school soon. My daughter starts kindergarten this year as well. So this is a very relevant time for me to get this information out there and help parents so their children can thrive in school.